Jett has arguably one of the best abilities in terms of smokes in the game aside from Omen. Her ability to curve smokes around corners and into specific spots allows her to create some interesting angles to hold. With enough practice, you'll be utilizing your smokes in such a way that can turn the tide of a match to your team's favor. Hi, my name's Trazix, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create one-ways that'll help you get the advantage, so let's dive right in. So for this first one on Ascent, if you're trying to push onto B site or going for a retake, you can make a one-way onto market so that your enemies that are looking for market won't be able to see you as effectively, which allows you to see them first. If you do this correctly, you can create a one-way in such a way that they will not be able to see garage or CT spawn, and that is useful for not just you but also your team pushing on a site as well. Alternatively, if you're pushing on a site from CT spawn, you can also smoke off market and your enemies will not be able to see you, just like if you were pushing on from garage. If you're pushing onto site and you know someone is hiding in boathouse, you can smoke the arches to create a one-way and your enemies won't be able to see anything. Alternatively, if you're pushing onto site from CT spawn, you can create a one-way on the other arch and your enemies won't be able to see anything. If you're holding cat as a defender, you can smoke off tiles to create a one-way, but please do note this can be easily countered with a brimstone smoke or an omen smoke. This angle is most effectively held with an op, but you can also hold this angle with the vandal or phantom as well. This one is a little tricky and could take some practice, but if you're trying to peek onto mid as an attacker, you can definitely smoke the arches at mid to create a one-way and the enemy outside market won't be able to see you. This one definitely takes some time to learn, so I highly recommend practicing this one. This next one on A main is pretty strong as it can block flashes from Phoenix, Breach, it prevents enemies from peeking on top of the wall. This one I've experienced in one of my games from an opponent Jett and it is not fun to play against. And for the last smoke on Ascent, you can create a one-way onto the arches at A main. It's not of an effective one-way as we've seen before, but I thought I'd include it. Your enemies will not be able to see onto heaven, so it's pretty effective if you're holding with an op. It's mostly situational. You have to rely on your team's communication if they hear anyone at A main. Moving on to split, we have a defender-sided one-way smoke looking from vents onto mid. You can create a one-way at market by smoking this wall over on the right, and your enemies peeking from market will not be able to see anything at all. For this next one, if your team doesn't have a Cypher to hold B site, you can create a one-way smoke by smoking the ceiling of the garage tunnel. You can walk around to hold the site from on site, or you can walk and hold it from back site. For this next one, if you're holding ramps on A side, you can create a one-way by smoking this part right here. Enemies will not be able to see you unless they swing far out, but usually you already have the angle on them and you can get a pick off right before they're able to shoot you. For this next one, you can create a one-way smoke at vents from market if you're trying to take control over mid. This one definitely takes some practice and you have to smoke this off from cover, otherwise the enemy will just shoot you down. But it definitely pays off as they have no vision. For this next one, if you're trying to push onto mid from sewer side, you can smoke the wall here with this bird. You can just smoke to the right of its neck and you can create a one-way that will block off middle room and you can get control over one side of mid. Alternatively, if you're pushing from the same side on sewers onto mid and you know someone is in vents, you can smoke off the vents just like how we did before and you can create a one-way and you can peek onto that. For this next one, I forgot to record the enemy POV, but if you know someone is on backside of B, you can smoke off the edge of this building here next to the red R logo and create a one-way. And for this last one, let's say you're holding A side from a retake, you can smoke off the ceiling of this archway to create a one-way onto screens and your enemy won't be able to see anything outside, but you can see their feet and you can get an easy pick off of this. Moving on to bind A site, this smoke is a bread and butter one used by Viper, Omen, and Brimstone. You can smoke the corner of this box and stand in the cubby across from teleporter. You can stand on the left side of the box that looks into A short, or you can hold this angle from on-site A behind the green boxes. So So for this next one, if you know someone is playing aggressively in lamps, you can smoke off the entrance on CT side for a one-way. You can do this from either backside or from heaven. And usually they will not be able to see you at all because of how narrow the space is and how big the smoke will be on their side. If you are attacking onto A side and you know someone is peeking from heaven, you can smoke off the archway from behind cover. If this one is executed well, you can smoke off their view from A short and showers as well. I highly recommend practicing this one as you must do this from behind cover, otherwise you will just be picked off. Moving on to B site, if you're holding long, you can smoke off the left pillar of this archway outside of teleporter for a one-way and they will not be able to see you at all. It is best to smoke this small point on the side of this arch for a perfect one-way. If you're pushing onto B site from hookah, you can smoke off this archway that's coming from CT spawn. This is perhaps one of the best one-ways as the enemy will not have any idea over what to expect and you can see them coming. Also from hookah, you can also smoke off elbow to create a one-way to either get a pick off or to push onto site. And for the last one on bind, if you are watching CT spawn from elbow, you can create a one-way smoke by smoking the wall on this left corner, and you can create a one-way and your enemies won't be able to see you once they peek the corner, and you'll be able to get some easy picks off of this. And finally, moving on to Haven, you can smoke off a lobby from long to create a one-way smoke. I really like this one because this smoke allows you to peek out for a wider angle and pick off anyone trying to quickly move into sewers. And then next up we have a one-way smoke from A side into A sewers. You can smoke off the top of the doorway to create a one-way smoke and the enemies on the other side won't be able to see anything at all. Alternatively, if you're on the other end where you're in sewers and you're trying to push onto A site, you can smoke off the top corner of these boxes and you can push on while the enemies won't be able to see into sewers unless they swing wide. If you're holding A site for a bomb plant or you're worried someone might be flanking from A links, you can create a one-way on this archway and your enemies won't be able to see anything. If you're holding site against a push from long, you can smoke the top corners of these boxes to create a one-way and they will not know where you are shooting from when they're pushing onto site. Moving on to B, if you are holding B site, you can smoke off the top left corner of the mid window and you should be able to get an easy one-way. Enemies won't be able to see initially from the window unless they swing far wide, but you should be able to get the pick off before they're able to respond. If you're pushing mid onto B, you can easily create a one-way on either of the archways on the left or right. Conversely, if you're the one defending B site and you know your opponents are pushing mid, you can smoke off one of the pillars to create a one-way. It is best to be standing on the side of A links as the enemy has a better line of sight of you on the C link entrance due to the incline at mid, which would essentially negate the one-way. Moving on to C site, let's say you're defending site from a retake, you can smoke off the walls at their CT spawn or onto B links to create a one-way. This can help you prevent the enemies from pushing onto site quickly and it can help for stall for time. And for a bit of a more passive angle on C site, you can smoke off the wall at the C site entrance if you know your enemies are pushing long. I like this smoke because it's also an angle that is safe for you to fall back to CT in case they hard push. And for the last one for this video, let's say you're trying to retake C site from spawn, you can smoke off the door behind C window to create a one-way. This one is pretty good because if your enemies are so close to the smoke, they can't see anything, so you can get a guaranteed kill if they're dumb enough to peek or push through the smoke. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. These are just some of the one-ways that I've shown in this video, but there are countless more that can be created for every specific situation. Definitely do get creative with this and learn how to use Jett smokes to create advantages and leads for your team. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If there's something I can improve upon or anything I've missed, please do let me know in the comments because I'm always looking to improve my work. If you have any ideas on what video I should make next, please do post your suggestions in the comments section and I will definitely take a look. I also like to stream on Twitch every Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. Definitely come check out my streams and say hi. And that's going to be it, guys. I hope this video helped you all and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.